Hey everyone, this is Coffee. Hold on. With Soul. I had a really bad start to the morning. Approximately 20-ish or so minutes ago, Dee wakes me up and she's like, hey babe, it's like 8 something. And I'm like, I gotta do the thing. Huh? And then she's like, huh? And I'm like looking at her, I'm like, I'm awake. It's cool. Let's do this. Let's get this day started. I'll tell you why I slept really poorly in just a little bit. Let's say hi to everyone else though. What's up to Jiaozong? You said hi way like forever ago. Good morning to you, dude. You get a point. What's up to Flan and Priscilla and the lovely Nelia? What's up to Gout Yadi? What's up to Sephiroth and Selfriel and Pack and still double checking and Grismer and Diaz and Fallen and Thundering Horde. A big, actually a double hello to you because you threw me that Prime sub. Awesome. What's up to Jeppy? And of course, what is up to all the other beautiful digital smiling folks who may be joining us today? So yeah, I slept really bad. Oh man, I think at like 3 o'clock. Happy is the dog that we have here. She's like an old girl. She just wakes up. She's like, I'm up. Woohoo! I'm up. Time to work on my schedule. Take me downstairs. Give me treats. Let me go out to pee. That sort of thing. And then we're all like, really? Like she's been doing this kind of up and down lately. And then when she's done, she's in like this kind of I do feel really, really bad for her. She's like in kind of this freak out mode where she's like poking around, looking at stuff. And she'll get into things. Like she'll like get into like little nooks and crannies that she never like really gets into. She'll try to jump or she'll try to hop over, in the back of your, in the back of a PC, there's like all the wires and stuff and all that stuff. She'll try to jump between, she'll try to jump over the cables. And she can't because, well, one, she's old, and two, the cables are at least line managed enough. Actually, they're line managed not enough that you can't really jump over it. So if she tried to, she'd probably destroy like everything. So I'm like, dude, what's going on? So I just did not sleep very well. Oh, I'm so unpretty. But anyway, let me actually read chat because I haven't really looked at anything yet. But yeah, lots of hellos. Thank you for the shirt. This like pretty much like 85% of the shirts that I wear, all the stuff comes from the Blizzard store. This one, I believe, was on clearance, baby, like $6 or something like that. It was something cheap. So every now and then, I'd say go there and like see. Here's me shilling, but for sales, right? Don't buy that stuff full price unless it's like that one shirt with the bob and the copy. That one just screamed at me. It's like, buy me. I'm like, okay, I'll go ahead and definitely pick that one up. We have topics, I think. Usually I try to put down like one word lines here and there, wherever I can see it. I didn't. What do I think about this? Wow, what? Get out of here. No, I don't want that stuff. Bye. What do I think of a private server? That's what I think. I think they don't belong. Weirdo. Let's see. There was one. There was a Twitter post. Oh my god. Let me find it really quick. Make sure I have. Okay. We have the 915 PTR that's coming like really soon, as in probably sometime today. And I'm really looking forward to it. The interesting thing is that we're learning so much about it, but we've received so many different little notes that indicate that no, it's not going to be. Some of the features of this patch are not going to be implemented in this first build, which makes me wonder. because I'm coming off the high of, wow, we're getting all these cool announcements and cool little bits of news. But now it's like, oh, it's it's not going to be in the initial build, which is reasonable. But it also makes me wonder, so how long is this PTR cycle going to be, given that not everything is like fully implemented or fleshed out or whatever. Now, there are a lot of things that are going to be immediately available for testing, for first checks, iterations, and stuff like that. But then there's a lot of stuff that is not. So I wonder how many of these things that we're hearing about is coming in more at the last minute than not. And it helps to drive some folks' narrative that like, oh yeah, Blizzard is just doing this to placate the angry audience, the real audience, and that they're just pandering and yada yada yada. And to be honest, if they are, and if Blizzard feels like they're in a position where they're like being backed into the ropes, and if people are saying, oh, they're this is a desperate play at getting their subs back and blah blah blah, good. Because what else can you do? What's Blizzard going to do? Be like, oh, I guess we lost them. Oh well, I guess we'll stick with all the whales and blah blah. No, screw that. I ain't mad at all that that Blizzard is doing their best with the time that they have in this test cycle with this PTR to just change things up, pivot, and do stuff. So I'm cool with that. The new WoW backpack looks great. There's a WoW backpack? Oh, you're talking about real life. I wasn't too sure. Thank you, Pers. Thank you very much. So real quick, the reason why I wasn't streaming yesterday was partially, hey, I can kind of take a day off and work on other stuff. But there's also, thank you, Goat Yaddy. There's also this kind of protest that was going on Twitch with regards to hate raids, and people, marginalized folk such as women, people of color, people of different sexual orientations, that are the target of these. And so that was my effort / non-effort to support that sort of cause. So apologies to those who want a consistent 3-day schedule of coffee with me, but fortunately I kind of made up for it with a really, really long Tuesday. I expect today to be definitely okay. Someone's showing me this background. Wow! So they made a backpack that is just like the backpack from patch 8.3. Yeah, the second backpack that we received. The first one, if I recall correctly, that's the one that comes from the recruiter friend thing, the kind of multi-level marketing scheme that you're trying to that Blizzard is trying to do, kind of, sort of, maybe. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Grid, thank you for giving me 5 months of your money. Yeah, it is the Rathian backpack. That's pretty cool. Anyway, back to the patch stuff. I am glad of there's so much, and even the small things that we haven't heard of, I'm super stoked for. Biggest one would be one of the bigger ones would be the additional lore skips that we're gonna be able to get. Like, not only are we going to get the Covenant campaign skip, like what I was talking about like so many times, we're also getting the full Korthia skip as well. So that's going to entail a couple of things, because one, we're going to get all the renown that comes from completing all those quests. So I'm sure I could sit down and double check on Wowhead and math all of that stuff out, but it looks like we're going to get a pretty hefty renown skip as soon as you hit max level, if you have in fact completed the Covenant campaign. And you basically, if you're on one character and you've completed the Covenant campaign, you've completed the Korthia campaign, your renown is at 80, your Covenant Sanctum is fully upgraded, whoo, you're living it up, dude. And that's gonna be awesome. You're gonna get a crap ton of renown. You're gonna get a crap ton of renown. You're going to be able to earn anima at a stupid crazy rate, and get access to all your soul binds. You'll be, this and this and this and this. You're just going to get showered with like stuff, and it's hard to complain. It's definitely hard to complain about that. And there she goes. There she goes. You can totally wear Rathian as a vet. Nice. All right. All right. I think that was it for. Let's see. Goat Yadi says that, yeah, I mean, that's what they should do. Lol. They obviously want the game to be good and loved. There are folks that are out there that are like, I wonder what Blizzard's gonna do to literally ruin themselves again, or they'll have a, they'll write some sort of narrative where Blizzard's like, okay, let's release half the expansion, and people will complain, but then and then we'll defend our stances for a little while, keep them strung along, and then, after a certain amount of time, then we'll, give them everything that they want, and that's like the cycle, this whole repeating cycle. The unfortunate the unfortunate and boring reality is that, well, maybe they just don't make good decisions. More often than not. And unfortunately, even I, the great shill of WoW, can write this narrative that this whole repeating pattern of being like really stubborn and standing their ground, and then finally giving in to these demands. It writes a narrative of just making these repeated bad decisions, and it's like, why do they allow that pattern to continue? Looking forward, though, part of me is thinking, okay, hopefully they'll be able to break this. And I don't know. It's I've been reading like the statements and developer notes and the reasons why. Okay, here's why we did this. We stand by it, but now things have kind of changed, or here we were just plain wrong. We're sorry about that, and we're gonna try and do we're gonna try and do better on that. My hopes are that, given the changes that are going on over at Blizzard, given the leadership changes, and we don't know how that's going to change the dynamic at all. It's not like Mike Ibarra and Jen O'Neill are like knocking on the WoW team's doors every now and then, and showing some Twitter posts. It's like, hey, did you see that this thing that people want, it got like 300 likes? So and Blizzard, the WoW team, with all their data-driven stuff, they're like, and then Jen and Mike are like, hello. The WoW team's like, fuck it, okay, fine, yeah, let's do it. Let's listen to the players, sure. Who knows what's happening in there? But whatever the case, this Blizzard I like. I said it in some tweets. I like this desperate, looking for redemption Blizzard, as opposed to this overconfident, stand your ground Blizzard. I'm totally cool for that. What Menard wants to see is a redirection of class design philosophy. That's not going to happen in 9.15. That's for sure. So for those who are like, hey, you know what, this patch is great and all, but I'm dipping out for like different reasons. There are other reasons why I'm not satisfied with the game. I'll just kind of wait, because what's coming in 9.15 might placate people who want to be happy, but that's not going to put me in a good place, and that's okay. All right. See, Crumb Cake has something to say for the very first time. Welcome. I just got done watching your toxic positivity video. If this helps, Copium is inwardly focused toxic positivity. Think of the everything is fine meme with the dog in the burning building drinking coffee. That's actually not a bad way to present that one. I still don't like using it. I don't like. I don't like oversimplifying things into like a single word. Hey, let me talk about the reasons why I enjoy the world of Warcraft. Shell, bleh! It's that sort of thing. It feels the usage of the word feels overly simplistic and borderline derogatory to me or something like that. Gotta sub, it's the only key. See, Grid knows what I'm talking about. Most of my guild, they sub to me so they can keep their raid spot. That's kind of the secret of how it works. Totally kidding. Not kidding. Maybe I could just get some free subs out of it. Yes. Jumpman says that I thought you said the great chill of WoW. And I was like, the great chill. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I'm chilling for WoW. But did you say chill? No, I said chill. No, then we're gonna get this whole correction thing going on, where it's like, yeah, it's an inside thing with like me and my channel people. Like, yeah, you're not a part of it. Why don't you sub, bitch? Anyway, they listen to my stream except for player housing. Yeah, that's it. That's definitely it. Actually, let me move to one of the things that I definitely wanted to talk about, and it is a certain tweet thread thing that I saw, and I definitely want to share this with you because it's good. It's probably going to be a topic of the weekly, but I'll just start rambling and raving about it now. So there's this thread. This Twitter thread, and one of those rare things where Ian Hezekiah actually chimes in, and it starts off with this dude saying "cross faction, please," boom, and it's really cool because the tweet was sent, Mikey Barr responds that he's gonna keep his hands clean of this sort of thing, but it goes on. Ian chimes in. On a couple things, and then I lost it. It's somewhere in here. I had it up for like a good minute. Here we go. So here we go. Let me just read off what he writes with regards to the faction divide. We should have been clearer with the wording. The rationale was not because lore, but rather that because the storylines have now converged, the difference in week-to-week experience based on the Covenant is much smaller. Actually, that's not it at all. Let's see. No. There's a really. Oh, here we go. All right. So someone who's referring to, does this apply to cross-faction gameplay as well? Okay. There's more to the faction divide than just the narrative. There's no quick solution here, but especially when it comes to equal access to endgame systems like Mythic Plus and raiding, that barrier is a major issue that we know we need to address. The take that I have from this is fairly clear that Ian is using this angle of accessibility for equal accessibility for players, Horde, Alliance, that sort of thing, so that way they can participate in certain game modes, Mythic Plus, raids, and so on. Once upon a time that wasn't nearly as much of a deal. These days it is at numerous levels. Whether it even at the lower band, it feels like data-driven Blizzard is definitely noticing that even at the lower band of skill, there's a lack of representation. There's a lack of ability for people to just kind of get together and do stuff. Now, as for what they're going to do, or how they're going to go about it, that's not it. I don't know. I still have that whole dream of mine of just removing the barriers and letting Horde and Alliance players just play together. And the gameplay experience going forward will be, you can group together, you can guild together and do stuff like that. If and when there are faction specific things that happen, me and all these people, we can still be in the same guild, but just like how there are race specific and class specific quests, we all just kind of split off, do that faction thing, and then once that quest line is over, then we come right back, because the narrative has us participate or has us, be a little bit involved with what's going on, but the faction war no longer drives the story. It's us that drives it. And so, the whole pretense of trying to create this separation between players and this kind of friction, it's no longer there. I feel like it's not artificial because there are hardcore, Horde fans, Alliance fans, and that sort of thing. And I think Blizzard wants to do their best to hold on to that. But I guess when it comes down to it, just like one of those Blizzard pillar things still say, gameplay first, right? They want to make a place where people can just play, and that kind of falls apart if there's one faction that is woefully underrepresented and can't take off or even thrive like another faction can, and that's not cool. It's a game that Blizzard's been playing for a long ass time, with trying to balance the two factions between racials and things like that. But I think even without racials, even if racials weren't a thing, if it was just cosmetic or whatever, I think we would still eventually see this sort of divide. Maybe it would have been skewed towards the Alliance because they have like prettier buildings or something like that, but maybe not. I know that I made my choice as Horde, and I haven't changed at all. But I initially made my choice not even because I wanted to choose Horde and Alliance, but because I wanted to choose Undead. That was my whole thing. I wasn't even quite aware of what the consequences of that choice 17 years ago. I wasn't even quite aware of what that choice would mean, because I do remember I started playing and I made an undead dude. I'm like, all right, cool. Let me see if any of my friends play, because a lot of my friends, they play games and all that stuff too. I'm like, hey, who are you guys playing as? Well, there were like different divides. It was like, oh, what server are you on? Oh, I'm on this server. I'm like, oh, okay, bummer. Well, maybe I can roll on your server. What race are you, or what faction are you? I'm Alliance. Oh, would you? It's like, oh, you're a Horde. I'm like, yeah, I wanted to play Undead because I play Undead. And then my friend will be like, well, I play Night Elf. I'm like, oh, well, yeah, fucking Night Elves. So that sort of divide, that even back in 2004, friends were divided over that sort of choice, and some people gave in, and some people just allowed that separation to happen and just didn't play together, and that really sucks. I think that even now, or if WoW was released now, maybe things just would have been better off if there never was a faction divide. If it was the way that I envisioned it, where you had like these this collection of races, and then you chose whatever, but then every now and then y'all kind of broke off and like did your own thing. And I think that would have been fine. There are a couple things that wouldn't have worked out. The gunship fight wouldn't have worked out in Icecrown Citadel. Most of Battle for Azeroth wouldn't have worked out. So things would have been steered in a different direction if the champions of Azeroth weren't necessarily like, hard aligned with a certain thing. And for the most part, we were playing, we were just playing the game, and the Horde and Alliance factions were just factions that were ever present from one expansion to the next. You know how we move on from factions? It's like, oh, Burning Crusade, we had to help out like the Sporgar and all that stuff. Hey, that's cool. But yeah, if the Horde and Alliance as factions, they just kind of followed us. They were just like, they were ever present. It'd be different from how things are now, but not so different. And we would all just be able to play together. That would have taken care of so many things. But that's all hindsight, 17 years. And, the change more than likely isn't going to come quick or easy. It's going to be it's going to be an expansion level thing. I can imagine though, Blizzard making this a patch level thing if they limit the way that people would be able to play together. Like if they just said, okay, we're going to keep the Horde and Alliance thing. That's not going to change. But when it comes to instance content, raids, dungeons, PvP, yeah, you'll be able to do this roundabout way of grouping together and then be able to walk in, and people can party together. And then when you're in a party or when you're in a raid together, then yes, you'll be able to, we'll break immersion, right? And then you'll be able to talk to each other and that sort of thing while you're in the instance. But otherwise, no. I think that'd be kind of janky though, because while it does support the whole gameplay first idea, it feels kind of janky. I feel like if they're gonna dip their toe in that, they might as well freaking go all the way and just dive into that. Be serious, commit, says Grid. Commit. And then just take it to the hill. Let me read some chat. Sorry guys. Someone has a question. This might be a dumb question. It might be. I'm going to judge you in a little bit. But how come Blizzard does not hire an insane amount of people to get that content out super fast? Is it too costly? Are there already a ton of people? When it comes to game development, more people isn't better. More people is it's not necessarily better. It's not faster either. What it can mean, like let's say Blizzard hires a massive art team. That means there's going to be a huge art team, and then they'll be able to like pump out, supposedly they'll be able to pump everything out like a little bit faster. But if you hire a bunch of like engineers and programmers and that sort of thing, it does allow for greater scope of things, but it doesn't necessarily allow product to go out faster. It's just that when it does come out, it can be of greater scope. But the cold reality of business is that they'll try to get away with spending as little as possible. That's kind of it. I remember, I think it was between Warlords and Legion, there was that whole, there was a narrative going around. Well, this is the biggest team ever, or something like that. It's super, super big. And I guess it kind of reflected with Legion, because we got a lot of stuff and a lot of people had fun with it. Of course, we had to sacrifice like half an expansion. We had to sacrifice half of WoD in order to make that happen. So, hey, that's the secret, man. Just do a half expansion one year and then a full expansion, the next time, which is like but no, having more people doesn't necessarily make things better. What more people do, for sure, especially among creatives, is that it creates a larger bureaucracy, because video games is a space, is a workspace for creatives, and everyone's got ideas, from designers to oh shucks, the terms aren't come to me, but everyone's got their own ideas, and everyone kind of has their seat at the table. And one person's idea might not be the same as another's. Like, for example, like taking myself in my experience as an armchair developer person, a lot of us may be united on the idea of, hey, you know what? We don't like this thing, right? Doesn't it grind? You know what grinds my gears? This. And then there might be a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm with you. And there might be some people that are like, no, I'm not with you, whatever. But when it comes to, but once I start getting into, hey guys, let's take this thing that we don't like and let's see how we can make it better. How about this, and this? I'll get a handful of people that are like, yeah, it's cool. And then most everyone else is like, oh, I actually have a different approach. I have a different idea, and it's way better than yours. And then some person might reply to that person and be like, you know what? That's garbage. His idea wasn't that great either. Here's what I got, right? Yeah. So you have a lot of that going on. Now, as for how Blizzard handles it, don't know, no idea. And maybe that's something that worth learning more about, but it's not something that I necessarily want to demand that we know. Blizzard, we need you to explain to us why it is you have this thought process. There's a really good tweet thread that's going around somewhere from a Twitter handle called, I believe, Ask a game dev, and this person has like this little blog on Tumblr that's not porn. They have a little blog where they talk about game design. They answer certain questions, and they talk about. I think the latest topic they talked that they wrote about was why is it that developers don't necessarily explain everything to players, especially when they're angry. And in so few words, I'll just kind of summarize this thing. Which doesn't do them justice, but I'll summarize anyway. They said, "Well, you know what? You're still gonna be mad. You're still gonna be as angry, if not even more angry than you were before. Two, it takes a long time to explain these sorts of things because most often, explaining a design decision means talking to not just one person but multiple people, so that way they can convey that full message out." And then three, the circumstances behind a certain change is often boring and unexciting. Like, for example, I'm trying to remember what they had said. For example, there might be a certain feature that was dropped because the subject matter expert on that was too embroiled in another project and they couldn't leave. Or someone who was assigned to something else, they happened to leave midway. They just, they found a new job, they left the company, whatever. That's kind of how that goes. Or things just didn't work out. Testing didn't work out, and the studio needs to decide, okay, so this feature that we announced is not coming out the way that we want it to. We can either force it to work and pull resources from other places to make this work because we didn't get it the way that we wanted to on time, or we drop it. And sometimes there are hard decisions that are made. So it's rough because they're trying to create an experience for us consumer peoples, but still trying to meet deadlines and things like that. And it's not something that you can necessarily throw bodies or money at, because that doesn't exactly buy enough time, unfortunately. And then some people here in chat are chiming in with other stuff. It's like, not only do you need to, not only that, but you get more people and you need to not exactly train them, but you need to get them acclimated into the process and get them into the fold. It's not like a retail store where it's like, okay, you can start working on, you start working on this thing on the side and then we'll get back to you. Like, it has to, like, when people in this sort of environment come together, they gotta like mesh themselves in really well. Otherwise, it's like, what are they doing there? Because they're not being a great contributor. What's up, Spirit? And other folks that I'm missing. Hi. Oh, there's a lot of highs. Let's see. How's the coffee? Is it good this morning? I made my coffee late. I was running late. I slept super poorly. And all that. Yeah, don't worry. I finally scrolled down to chat for the most part. What's up, Cammy? Cammy. Need to be more sooner? No, nothing like that. But this makes me excited. The whole notion of being able to play with more, because like as a content creator, like I'll talk with a lot of folks and I'll be like, oh, you want to play together? Or some people will be like, oh, I'll help you. I want to join your raid team, or I want to do Mythic Plus with you, or whatever. And the divide right now is either, oh, you're on the other faction, or you're playing from the other region, which is a bit more fair. Nelia, yay! I'm hugging my water because this is you, Nelia. Yay! Thank you very much, Nelia. That kind of reminds me to do kind of the same thing. What am I doing? Where's my thing? Where's that thing that I press? Where I do stuff for the people. Something. And I can't find it. All right. So while I get that thing done real quick. Boop. I believe this month is supposed to be like September or something like that. There's like some promo stuff going on. I am not sure how that works. I don't know if it's actually started, but who cares? Doesn't matter. You're painting a 3-foot tall ball pointed thingamajigger. Those things freak you out. It's your birthday this Sunday. Well, happy early birthday, Peter. Happy days to you. Was there any patch stuff that I missed? Yeah, I feel like this is the time to give all the asks for Blizzard, to bring up all the things, because they're being it sucks to say this, they're being uncharacteristically communicative. They're talking a lot. And so it feels like now's a good time to bring up topics. I mean, they've brought up almost everything except player housing. Damn. Maybe I should throw together a player housing video real quick and just start kicking up dust over in Twitter. It's like, hey, since we're here, since we're at this point, guys, player housing. But that's a much bigger endeavor than even lifting the faction divide. I'm sure engineering wise, there's a lot that's going to go into it. I'm definitely sure that they're being very, very measured about what they say. For example, the AOE cap. I think it was Max, who retweeted himself being like, hey, I'm calling myself out, because earlier in a tweet, Max from, he's the GM of Limit, he was saying, nah, they're not going to do anything about the AoE cap. Nope. They're not going to do it till next expansion because Blizzard thinks that this is a great idea, whatever. And then Mike Ybarra later chimes in after the announcement of the AoE cap removal, or nerf, whatever, is that, I laughed at this one when I read it from a couple days ago. So they at least had made that decision, those couple of days ago, and and wanted to like save their time to like make a big, to just call that out and make a decision on it. And they could have said it sooner. When it comes to the faction divide, I'm pretty sure they definitely want to be very measured on that, because that's not just a game design thing. It's not just a feature request. It's a culture shift of the world of Warcraft. It's going to redefine it in a way, because oftentimes when I talk with folks about the faction divide, people will clap back at me and be like, well, it just won't feel like Warcraft anymore if that's the case. Of course, my internal reply is, oh, so the fact that you can't find a group, that's that World of Warcraft feel you want to capture, right? But I think they're being really measured about it. But the writing's on the wall, or the social media wall, or whatever, that it's gonna happen. Probably in the next expansion. And I really hope that they, like I said earlier, I hope they go all the way with it, and that they don't just half-ass it and be like, oh, well, we'll just make it so you can party and group together, and that sort of thing, and that's it. Because, and I know that I keep coming back to this subject again, and I think it's because if we can't interact outside of groups, cross faction, and if we can't be in guilds or whatever, then that does not equate to helping create new relationships. It's just, oh, this is just a thing out of convenience. And I would find that very distasteful. I would find, it would be like, oh, like what would it be in practice? It's like, oh, we need to find people. Oh, let's get some of them, right? Let's get an alliance person. And what sucks is that you get a person into that dungeon or into that raid, you get them in, it's like, all right, cool, thanks for coming by, but that interaction ends as soon as you leave party. It's not just because oh, they're just a faceless pug, but because you literally can't talk to them unless you're in the same party with them. So that's why I think it should just go like all the way, and be done with that. Here's a good way to segue. Grand Nagus says that I hope the next thing that they do is remove borrowed power for good. It's funny because we've wanted that too. I talked about this the other day during, I think, the Monday show, where people were really excited about the Path of the Titans feature, which was kind of what Legion was. You do max, beyond max level progression, you do stuff and then you get extra things out of it, and whoop you do. And now, this many years later, after having experienced it for a while, here are our thoughts. I do like elements of the notion of borrowed power because we've had measurements of it this entire time, because we have gear, not just gear that has stats, but gear that does things, gear that has on use effects. We've had set bonuses. We've had weapons and other pieces of armor that provide special effects. This was before the artifact weapon, the Heart of Azeroth, the conduits, and all that stuff. So we've had these kinds of things. And the thing was, back then, those things only lasted for like a tier and a half or so. As in, you got the thing and it felt great, and then by the time you got to the next tier, you were still using it until you replaced it with something else. So I say like a tier and a half. Very, very seldom did we see a situation where someone held on to a set bonus or a trinket. Some we did, but it was more the exception than the rule there. So the idea of borrowed power, I still kind of like it. What people don't like is when it goes away, and it's hard to. I think for me, in my internal jury, the jury's still out on the Heart of Azeroth, because it hasn't quite gone away. We've just been separated from it. Technically, we're technically away from we're technically off the planet, and when we're off the planet while we're in Shadowlands, the Heart of Azeroth doesn't work. In every other situation where I'm on the planet, I put on the Heart of Azeroth because I like having Vision of Perfection as my essence, because it's freaking OP, and it doesn't have to do with any of the scaling. So I'm not, so I'm not tripping over that. But as for the future, it's like, we got to ask ourselves, like, what's the solution? I think of to me, something like Final Fantasy XIV is too extreme. It's way too extreme in the other direction. Like not only is there no borrowed power, there's just no options. You just get item level, and that's it. And then you get higher item level, and that's it. There's no talents. There's no there's none of that stuff to balance. There's no reworking, which in one way is great, because you're always going to get like this pretty consistent experience that scales really, really well, because for the most part things don't change. They did do a lot of class changes for Shadowbringers, and I think they did it for one of the other expansions, but they did a lot of revamps when they transitioned from Stormbloods to Shadowbringers, notably with tanks, I think. But even then, they managed to keep it clean because they didn't have to worry about the hundreds of talents that have come and gone as WoW has evolved over the years. And I guess that's kind of the thing. WoW does, the WoW team, it does its best to try to reinvent itself with more often than not mixed results, because there are things that are like, dude, that was dope. Oh, and then there are other things that are like, wow, that is the worst. The literal worst. Wow. Someone said about Twilight Devastation. Twilight Devastation. That was the to me, that's like it's for those who watched Game of Thrones, the show. Sorry for people who watched the whole thing, but spoiler alert, there's a part where an entire building with a bunch of characters is just blown up. Like one of the characters just plots some sort of scheme to get everyone all in one place, and then she just blows them all up. And that was the to me, that's that moment of, wow, forget strategy. Forget strategy, forget tactics, forget simming and all that stuff. Just get the super weapon, right? Get a TD3. Get a bunch of those if you can. I think I had at most a TD like 5, I think. Yeah, I think I had like a 5. And I was doing ridiculous damage, but then other tanks who had higher health pools, they were doing even more damage. It was ridiculous. It was nuts. But we kind of loved it too, because it was just ridiculous. At the same time, though, it just takes out all semblance of strategy and planning out of it. Like, your path was clear, especially after the vendor came out. Then things just got ridiculous. Then it kind of moved from TD to, you know, for a tank at least, from TD to versatility, and then you were pretty much unkillable. It was pretty nuts. But going back to the ideas of borrowed power, you're gonna I'm pretty sure that we're gonna find a lot of people to be pretty pissed off if there was literally nothing new that came in. But I would love for the game to lean more in that direction. Like, if it was just conduits, I don't think that we would be complaining as much. We'd complain, farming for conduits, Blizz. This is like the literal worst. But I don't find conduits to be like as game breaking as Covenant abilities. Covenant abilities are cool, right? And I think if Blizzard were to, this is something that I know Blizzard would not want to talk about either. Not until the very end, or not until the next expansion, but they might already have this plan where at the end, you know, in the 10.0 patch, we're just going to have a selection of those Covenant abilities. We could just choose them as if it's it's like them adding a talent row or something like that, and we could just switch them, no problem, easy, done, and that's it. And if they do that, hey, that's cool. We take something home. we get a nice little thing to take home, and I think that'd be like really cool. But going forward, though, yes, I would like to see them lean towards things that are more temporary, more short term, I should say. A return to gear, I think, would not be the end of the world. So think of something like Warlords, where there was a ring that was slot locked for the most part. It was a legendary ring. Hey, that's cool. I think having something like that felt soft. It was there. It was something that we had to work for. People bitched about it. It's like, oh, I gotta do all this stuff to like catch up with it. To a lesser extent, the legendary cloak from Mists, that kind of fit the same bill. I think that had a little bit. I think that was a little bit more involved with powering it up, if I remember correctly. There was quite a bit of questing, and I think some PvP related stuff, maybe, or you had to go into like the other factions based for like some stuff. Those things, I would be pretty cool with. Things that last for just like the patch or so. I think that's something that people are accustomed with, and if it lasts for a patch, then it doesn't sit too long for us to fall in love with them too much. But it's long enough for us to enjoy it while we have it. Maybe, I don't know. That's just me though. That's just me sharing my thoughts on how that would work out. Let's see. Unseatum? Not quite sure. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm awful. I think Blizzard has lost its way with true class design. They have gone all in on borrowed powers, which makes moving from expansion to expansion empty feeling. Sort of, yes. I definitely can get where you're coming from. I mean, I was just talking about things like not exactly corruption, but like essences and things like that. Although essences, like I said, they're a strange deal because they still work. They still work just the same. You can you can throw on your Heart of Azeroth in Legion, not Legion Time Walking, in what is it right now? Wrath Time Walking, and you'll crush. Make sure you have the Vision of Perfection equipped, and like have a good time. You'll pretty much break the game. Heck, when Legion time walking comes, Heart of Azeroth is gonna work. It's gonna be, well, okay, maybe it'll work, but I think it'll definitely be in people's interest to switch that neck into their Heart of Azeroth, and and probably the cloak, the legendary cloak from BFA will probably work too. I know that the Legion legendaries won't, but oh well, sad song, too bad, so sad. But you know, if those work, heck yeah. It's still there, and so I can't really judge that too much. Let's see. I think someone else had something to say to it. There's a lot of story attached to the cloak. The BFA cloak? Kind of. The mop cloak? Yeah, well, I mean, the mop cloak, wasn't that just kind of a patch thing? I thought the mop cloak was I think it was kind of a build. I have such a bad memory. I think the mob cloak was kind of a build up from all these other little legendary things that we had during Mists. I mean, there was like a weapon. There was a special weapon that I remember we had. We had a special meta gem. Remember when meta gems were a thing? And then we had that cloak, and you know, there's other stuff that I totally like forgot about. The mob cloak with the entire Rathian story behind it. I don't remember. I thought it was short. Yeah, I don't remember how long it was. I know that there was like, you gather this, gather that. Yeah, I thought that lasted for a patch, but oh well. But I think I'd be, you know, I think I felt okay. My mindset felt like, oh, I was okay with that at the time. I don't know how I'd feel now. I'm a different person now. Let's see. As long as they don't do what they did with Professions and Warlords, it's terrible. I loved Professions and Warlords. I will fight for that one. And I'll probably lose, but I'll fight for the way that they did. No, let me rephrase. I like the way they did Armor Professions in Warlords. I did not like Work Orders. That didn't feel great. But just sticking with... yeah, I remember because that was when I first became a content creator, and I remember putting in all these different posts that mathed everything out and how long it would take for people to like make a thing. That was fun, but no, I loved Warlords Armor Professions. It was a little janky that there was like that equip limit of 3, but that was 3 pieces of gear that was potentially heroic item level. They were pretty easy to craft and build up. You can re-roll the stats, so you can have like the good secondaries and all that stuff. And again, heroic item level. You don't really have that these days. What did we have in? Shucks, trying to remember. What did we have in BFA? There was like the 1 or 2 mythic pieces, but it was bound to you. That was more like a profession perk than anything. In Shadowlands, we just have legendaries, which is cool, but it was very centered on that and like nothing else. It's like, oh, I want to make a good weapon. Nope, you're gonna make a janky, whack weapon that pretty much nobody wants. Sad. Your main map had to go through work orders, and you can only make one. Yeah. I didn't like work orders. Work orders were like, acquiring those resources. I wasn't too fond of that, but that was the way of their pacing. That could have been managed by anything that was just like a daily cooldown. And this was Blizzard's way of, hey, let's do something a little bit more immersive. You know, let's have these cooldowns be managed by like an outside source that's within your garrison. I remember they did have something where, hey, you can craft a thing, and it had and it had multiple charges to it, but those charges would refill once a day, and you had a maximum of 3 charges or something like, so they in this case they think of something in order to pace this, they try to do something to pace the economy, to make it so that people aren't overwhelmed with like way too much stuff again. You want a garrison again? I enjoyed the feeling of building a base. It's still there. It's still there, and it still prints money. Okay, not right now. Right now, for the low cost of 5 sumptuous fur and 8 true iron ore, you can make at least 80 gold from that. So if you math that out, so yeah. Write this down, folks. 5 sumptuous fur, 8 true iron ore. If on the market, because that one of those creates 5 goblin gliders, and each goblin glider can go for anywhere between 20 and 60 gold each. It's a very nice consumable market. Doesn't involve a whole lot of work. You just kind of stay in your garrison and like do the missions and all that stuff, and like that's pretty much it. Gliders lull. Gliders is lull, man. Gliders is a million gold business, man. As long as you keep at it. There's some folks like Dee. All she does is gliders. She just hangs out in the garrison, does dailies. And gets Blood Star Garrus so she can make Dream Relief and we can keep up the glyph market. That's what she does, and we've made 50 million or something like that. So, gliders go for 1 gold a pop. Damn, I want to transfer that and reset that price, man. But if anything, 5 sumptuous fur, 8 true iron ore. If anything, sell those resources. But I think it definitely depends on the realm. If you're on a high pop realm and a lot of people are doing it, then screw it. Hexweave bags, yeah. See, Hexweave bags have finally fallen off. Hexweave bags are 30 slot bags. They're not even that big, but for a while they were still going for like 1,000 or so gold, and I forgot the resource cost of that, but it was like really cheap. And there were 32 slot bags that were cheaper, but people were still buying Hexweave bags. And so I'm not going to go through the trouble of educating folks on which bags are cheaper than others. I'm just going to make money off of you. So, actually, no, correction. Dee made money off of them. So she made her millions. Just bags, dude. Just bags. The secret to making gold in WoW is rule number 1, stop spending money. And 2, start making money. It sounds kind of douchey way to say it, but the golden rule is to stop spending money on stupid stuff, and like that's it. Unless you're sure about your investments, most of your investments are going to go up into vapor because you made the wrong call. First order of business: stop spending gold on dumb stuff. By the way, Trial of Style is still going on. Transmog is free, so have at it. Get nasty. Hexweek bags sometimes they still go for more than the equivalents, which are like 32. Yeah, 32s right now. I'm not a big fan of flipping the auction house too much. Or I think you just need to really know your market. If you know your market, and there are tons of add-ons that help out with that, then it helps. I tried doing that. I didn't really enjoy it. I just stick with markets that I know. I'm actually looking into. So here's a tip. All right, here's a tip, chat, folks on the VOD. Moonglow ink is money, at least so far, because Moonglow ink creates certain glyphs that people want, such as the glyph of stars for druids. It makes it so that they don't have to change into chickens. They can keep their humanoid form and like do stuff. Cool. And boomkins are a popular class. A popular spec right now. Get yourself some Moonglow ink, sell just the ink, and it's pretty decent money. What I'm trying to look into is down converting Shadowlands inks down to Moonglow inks and seeing if that's profitable. So I'm probably going to have to make another damn spreadsheet of mine and see how all that maths out. And if it maths out well, then you're going to catch me jump into other realms being like, okay, I can get this desolate herb or whatever for like only a gold. I'll just buy like hundreds of thousands of the stuff and I'll just restock. Because that was my secret since I think I think Legion is where it kind of stopped, but Legion is where it kind of stopped. But in BFA, I had so much extra ink that I can trade down that I created for myself in excess of 20,000 of every single ink. 20,000. I ran out of Moonglow first, so that tells you something. And most of the other inks, I still have like 6,000, 8,000. Some of them still, 10,000. I'm not a big creator. Not a lot of people are gonna see it. It's okay. I ain't tripping. I'm still gonna be rich, so whatever. But yeah, like that whole crafting thing, that was so much fun. You know, I look at these days. I still look at the discourse in WoW talking about boo-hoo, I want this and that, and those are all legitimate complaints and all that stuff. But the crafting game and the economy and stuff, like that's been a really, really fun side project when I don't feel like getting spoon-fed by wanting to get the latest lore bits or like the newest gear or the newest raid and dungeon and story thing and whatever. That's something that bypasses all that. You know, not unlike role-playing. You know, it's like, oh, we hear about these new items that are coming in. Let's find out what makes us money. It's a cool metagame that isn't just the normal stuff, the whole sense of progression and things like that. WoW is more than it's more than just what you see in like the dungeon finder or in the group finder or whatever. You can make things cooler for you. Karvik's been leveling alts on islands. I've been making hundreds of thousands off of the trans. Oh, I'm sure. Like, and definitely as a tip, do it now. Make that money now, because afterwards, when it becomes solo queuable, there's going to be a lot of people that are jumping into it and a lot of people that are getting those appearances for themselves and selling off the rest. So you're going to find the price of those transmogs to be driven down very heavily. So my advice, if you're money minded, do you should have been doing islands now, but pretty soon that well is gonna not exactly dry up, but there's going to be this period where the value of those items is going to go down. Eventually, though, as we move on from expansion to expansion, islands are still going to be there, and I talked about this before. It's going to be a bona fide evergreen experience. Eventually you're going to get new players or people that just kind of remember, oh, you know, I want to complete my collection of this and this and this. Oh, here's a cool item. Where do I get this? I don't know where to get it. And then meanwhile, the island person is like, yeah, I know where to get it. I got a bunch of this stuff and I've been controlling the supply. Ha ha ha. So yeah, Holy See, like there might be stuff that you can't get rid of, but I think I don't think it's a bad longer term investment. Or if you have add-ons that let you check prices in other regions, it'll at least give you an indicator of I'm not trying to tell you to, like, hey, transfer your character to another realm and then sell it all there and then keep hopping around. Nothing like that. But if you can see that, across the region, the average price of this is like 8 to 10 times as much as it is here, then just wait. Just wait a little while. Or if you do want to get into flipping prices, then you can, and if there aren't a whole lot of them going, you can just buy out whatever's on the market. Sorry, I'm trying to not sneeze. You can just buy out whatever's in the market and then reset the price, and then you can set it for yourself. When they implement Soul Islands, the only enemy should be sneaky, just a bunch of them, just infinite gouge, right? 227 is a good item level for a mythic 10. You know what? On Tuesday, I did another 15. I did what was it? It was a Halls. It was a Halls of Atonement. And again, I was being walked through with the same people. And boy, that's nice. Playing with the same people who we're all familiar with. And running it. Now, that team, they were joking with me. They were like, "Yeah, dude, it's only going to take you like, 3 more months to get you KSM. I'm like, I don't care, dude. And I don't. Like, I don't really care for getting KSM because I know I'm not as passionate as at Mythic Plus, so I don't feel like it's a goal I don't feel like it's something that because I'm not vying for it, I'm not gonna be sad if or when I don't get it, because I'm honestly not counting on it. But I just like having it so that way, if the guild is like, hey dude, I want to do a key, and we happen to have people on, I'm like, all right dude, let's do it. I'm sitting on the 15, let's deplete this sucker. And so we will. And so we will deplete it, and I'm cool with that.